Please be aware that changing the activation altitude can have dangerous consequences. Please inform yourself about the effects of this change before you do it and read your CYPRES manual.
Why should I change the activation altitude? There can be various reasons for changing the activation altitude. For example, if you are carrying special equipment and the extra weight increases your fall speed. Or if you are using certain parachute container systems with a longer opening characteristic. Or your drop zone is in a mountainous area and in the event of an unplanned outlanding your landing site may be higher than usual. These are just a few examples. There are also other reasons and scenarios that may require a change of the activation altitude. If you are not sure whether you should change the activation altitude, talk to your instructor, your CYPRES dealer, or another qualified specialist. You are responsible for setting your CYPRES and protecting your life. What happens if the activation altitude is changed? Your CYPRES has a fixed range in which it will activate if the conditions are met. The altitudes vary depending on the model or mode. The values for your CYPRES can be found in your manual. If the activation altitude is changed, the activation altitude range is increased in steps of 100 feet or 30 meter. The lower limit remains the same. Be aware that if you raise your top level of the activation window, you need to adapt the main opening altitude accordingly to avoid a two-out which can be life-threatening. Plan your jumps accordingly if you change the activation altitude. To change the activation altitude, turn on your CYPRES. At the end of the self-test, press and hold the key as soon as the 0 appears. Now the display shows the flight counter, the serial number, the next possible maintenance date and the setting feet or meter. As soon as the set activation altitude appears, release the button and press it again immediately. The red LED lights up. Release the button as soon as the LED goes out. Now the display shows the sequence A0, A1, A2, and so on until A9. Press the button when the desired setting appears. Your CYPRES will now turn off.
Next, you must repeat the entire procedure again for the change to take effect. If this confirmation is not identical, no change will be saved and you will have to start over from the beginning. This double identical entry cannot be done unintentionally and is for your safety. Once the activation altitude is set, it remains active until a change is made. During the self-test, your CYPRES will indicate the active setting in the self-test by an A. As long as your CYPRES is switched on, the number of the selected level flashes on the left edge of the display while you are on the ground. At altitude, the selected number is visible permanently.